Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm back with a needle felting video for you today. Every year for my boys' birthdays, I make them a needle felted crown. I usually like to pick something that they have shown an interest in for that year, or just something that makes sense. So last year we were on holiday, so I did a seaside themed crown for Jack. This year, Jack's shown an interest in the jungle and jungle animals, so I have made him a jungle crown. As I said, I was doing a jungle themed crown for Jack's second birthday. I decided on this theme because he has a huge tiger teddy, which he absolutely adores. He got that for Christmas. And he has a smaller panther teddy, which he really, really likes too. So I immediately went to the Jungle Book with the tiger and the panther. Obviously, birthdays feel like a really normal time to reflect on the year that you've had with your child, and I think that the crowns serve as an important memory marker for this. I think there's something really lovely about a homemade gift, and when you can combine that with something reflective, like deciding on a theme of an interest that they've had, or just something that will force you to remember them at this particular age, then that's just really nice. So as I work through each part of the crown, I thought that I'd share a little bit about what I'm doing, so the actual needle felting, and the reason that I've chosen these motifs, what they represent and the ideas behind it. Also just talk about the tradition of a crown. So I first learnt about Waldorf crowns when I was looking into a Waldorf style of education. Waldorf education really emphasises rhythm and tradition and handmade simplicity. In Waldorf schools, birthdays are marked gently with stories, a folk crown, and the idea of honouring a child's journey through the year. So again, it's just that idea of having a really good think about what the particular child is into, and taking note of that and seeing how your child's interests have changed and things like that. So I'm just going to talk about the colours that I've chosen on the crown. I knew that I would be doing so much green that I didn't really want to I didn't want to overload it in the first instance. So I landed on this sort of brown, this tan brown colour. And this just sort of reminded me of a dry Indian jungle. And I thought if I started off with neutral tones, then I could always add more green later. But if I started off really green, it'd be more difficult to tone it down a bit. And I really wanted the motifs to stand out and not just be lost in a sea of green. So that is the reason that I landed on those colours. I had real sympathy for medieval artists when I was designing this crown, because I have always seen those pictures of medieval artists drawing cats and thought, how have you messed that up so much? Have you ever seen a cat? But now I understand they're quite hard to draw. So of course I chose the tiger because of Jack's teddy that he really likes. But tigers are very symbolic animals, especially in Indian and Chinese culture. They have been powerful symbols for centuries, and they are seen as guardians, protectors, and even royalty in some cases. Whereas over in Korea, they are more playful and a bit trickster-like, but still deeply respected. And tigers obviously crop up a lot in children's stories, like the tiger who came to tea. They are much loved animals. I think they're a popular animal, aren't they? Everyone loves a tiger. Tigers are also quite fierce, um, just like a toddler, so it was well suited for that. So once I did the outline for my tiger, I did that using the cookie cutter method, to just make a template and then fill it in as much as you can. And I think that just keeps the shaping right. Once you've got the proportions that you like, it's kind of easier to add the details. So as always, I try and add the fibres of the wool roving. So I do a thin layer rather than doing a real bulk, because if you add too much of the wool roving to the felt piece, it can get really, really hard to push the needle through. And I always just think you can add more, you can't take away. So that's why the tiger is a little bit translucent. You can see the background through, because I can always patch it up later. And then the stripes I decided to do in a dark brown instead of a black. I thought that a black would just be a little bit too harsh. So that is why I chose brown instead there. So back to the Waldorf idea of crowns. Obviously, Waldorf is quite environmental. Felt and wool are, of course, not as harsh on the environment as plastic. And with them making a crown, it's definitely a lot more intentional and grounded. So it's not a mass-produced thing. It's definitely individual, even though a lot of children are into the same sort of things. This is definitely his crown. He's one of a kind. So now on to the panther. I pulled out a couple of different grey shades and a black. And as I said before, you can add, but you can't take away. So I started out with the lighter grey colour that I had in order to do the background for the panther. I knew that I'd be adding more of the darker shade to this, but I didn't want panther to just look like this black void. I wanted to be able to add some detail, so that's why I did that. As I said before, I wanted to put the panther on it because of his teddy panther that he really likes, but also because of Bagheera from the Jungle Book. I think the character of Bagheera is just so beloved and so protective and strong and patient. And I think as a mom, you can always sort of relate to Bagheera having to be the more, I don't know, sensible, I guess, parental figure rather than Blue, who gets to be a little bit more playful. I've actually always loved the character Bagheera. I used to have a cat when I was little called Baggy, named after Bagheera. I really struggled with the cat. Even when I drew it, as I said earlier, the drawing didn't even look right. It looked a bit goofy, and reminded me of those medieval cats. I'll put a picture up so you know what I mean of that. But in order to get the eyes right, I think I just made them too big or what have you. And then this pink part was supposed to be a nose, but it felt too low down on the face. But I didn't really know how to correct that because the eyes were taking up so much room because they were so big. So you'll see me mess around with the panther's face a lot until I got it to what I was happy with, because I just think it just looks so goofy. So I lost a bit of footage here for the toucan. But I just added that in the same way. Toucans, well, I when I showed my family the crown, my sister sort of told me up and told me that toucans live in a completely different jungle, and a tiger and a toucan have probably never met in the wild. But I told her that it was a pun because of toucan, and he's going to be two, so that was why I added it. But really, it was because I didn't know about the toucans living in a completely different part of the world, so never mind. But I thought the toucan looked very cute. I loved how it turned out. And then here I am just trying to fix the panther's face. I've made the eyes much smaller. I'm just trying to get it to look a little less goofy. Of course, Roma had to have a little visit. I thought that I would have a little bit more control if I threaded the nose through, so that's why I did that. I didn't really have a colour that I think I would have liked to have chosen a bit of a darker colour, but that's the one that I had. And I think it definitely looks better than it did before, so a win. Sorry, I don't know if the mic is picking that up, but Roma's come to visit again. Don't know if you can hear her purring. So just to add some details onto the toucan, I just decided to do that with thread as well, just to minimize any sort of error there. So once I'd got the 2 outlined, I started to add some foliage. I didn't want to add the 2 just yet because I wasn't sure on the colour. I either wanted to do this sagey colour that you can see now, or a orangey colour. So while I was deciding, I just thought that I would get on with some foliage. I didn't want to do too much because I wanted the animals to be the main focal point, but I did need something for the toucan to sit on because he was kind of just hovering there. So I added this little branch for him. So will he remember this crown? Probably not. But I like the idea that one day we'll look back and we'll know that when he was 2, he was really into tigers and panthers and the Jungle Book. And we'll be able to talk about it, and it'll remind me of his little tiger teddy and his little panther teddy. And hopefully I'll just be transported back to this really special time in his life. I think the jungle setting as well is also a bit of a nice metaphor for toddlerhood. Toddlers are a little bit wild and growing all at once and everywhere, so it was nice to sort of have that little bit of symbolism in there. Did think about adding some more floral elements, but again, I didn't really want to take away from the tiger and the panther, and I'd already spent quite a long time on this crown and it was quite quickly approaching his birthday, so sometimes you can do too much, I think. So as I said, it was either between the sage colour or this more yellowy orange colour, and I went with the yellowy orange colour. I also made the 2 a little bit smaller. It was a bit big, and that's a mistake that I've made in previous crowns. Just made the number so big, and I'm not really sure why. It's not. You don't need it to be that big. You can still see it, and it just takes up so much room and takes away from the other designs. So sometimes you just have to rein it in a little bit, check yourself, and go, come on, calm down. So that is the number 2 going up. I also like to cut out a piece of felt to do the numbers, just to make sure it's really nice and clean. You could just add the felt as I did due to all the other motifs. It would work, but I just like to cut it out just to make sure it's definitely on there and looks quite bold. So the last thing to do is to add the ribbon and do the stitching. Sadly, I could not find a ribbon to match the thread that goes around the outside, so I just found this goldy colour which kind of matches the crown, which was fine. It wasn't perfect. I would have liked to have found a colour that matched the thread a little bit more, but there wasn't any at the at Hobbycraft. So now you can painfully watch me thread a needle. Definitely not a strength of mine. I'm always looking for a way to get the blanket stitching around the outside to look a little bit more uniformed. I think it is just a practice thing, and then making it merge into the ribbon a little bit more. I think it's just a trial and error thing. As well, the other thing that I sort of struggled with, I keep a really long tail on my thread so that I don't have to swap over, because I'm not great at starting or finishing the stitch, the blanket stitch. I think I'm just gonna have to practice and sort it out, because the threading with a huge needle is such a headache. So you'll see me pick it out a couple of times. It is just such a headache. The other thing that I did off camera is I iron the crown. I do this on a really low heat and with a towel in between the iron and the crown, and I just find that wads the fibres in place a little bit, and also helps to get rid of some of the holes. When you push the needle felting needle through, it makes a hole. I don't know if that's just because I'm not using the best materials. A lot of the materials I got were quite budget, just while I was learning. But yeah, you can make some holes, but if you iron it, it kind of gets rid of it. I also have seen people online use water and soap, a special soap to merge the fibres together. I might have a little play around with that, obviously not on a crown though, and see how that goes. I do think the blanket stitch just makes it look so tidy. It just really finishes it off, and it has got that handmade quality as well. With some of the previous crowns I've done, I've not made such a feature of the blanket stitch. Like, I've chosen a colour that would blend in. But now that I am getting a little bit braver, I do like the blanket stitch to stand out. And I know it's not really for everybody, but I really like the way it looks.
So this is how the crown turned out. I'm so, so happy with it. It's probably my favorite one yet. I know that Jack is really going to enjoy it, even if he doesn't wear it for the whole day. I know that I'll manage to get a picture of him in it. I might have to bribe him with some cake, but that is how it turned out, and I'm so, so pleased with it. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.